Punky Brewster won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is
For the Stepdads.
Yeah, your happy little stepdads are here.
Crack open that Schlitz.
Yeah.
And go to your stepdads.
Oh, man. So a lot of people talk about a phenomena called the cat distribution system,
Okay.
where people don't necessarily get cats. Cats get them. Like, there's
Right.
all these videos.
The
cats
cat
just
found
showing
me.
up. Oh, look,
Yeah.
there's a kitten in my yard.
Yeah.
Well, we had a little taste of that this morning. I'm sitting, watching the YouTubes.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, look out on the balcony. Little orange kitty starts meowing at me.
So bizarre.
So bizarre. Ripley's like, what?
I mean, we assume it's the neighbor's cat. The neighbors aren't home.
Yes.
We're on a second floor.
Yeah.
Like, we're like 20 feet up.
Like, how would he
there's
get
no
here?
way the cat could climb up from the ground.
If it's not the neighbor's cat, it's a crazy mystery.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we're hoping it's the neighbor's cat
Yeah.
because then we don't have to deal with
Right.
all of the stuff.
The nice thing is that Los Angeles is very pro animal, so I think it'll be okay. He's super friendly.
Super friendly. Super cute. Gorgeous colorings. I feel really badly because he really likes Phoebe.
Yeah,
which is the
yeah.
opposite of little Grumpo Rip. So
Literally, this cat is the exact opposite of Ripley.
a little orange boy.
A little orange boy who is actually friendly and wants to hang out with you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
loves being pet and picked up.
Although I will say, maybe this is a sign that this is our last dog days of summer because a cat appeared.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been really weird if a dog appeared, but
That'd be even weirder.
there's
Yeah.
not a lot of dog distribution system stories.
Yeah.
But cats, man. Well, because there's so many feral cats and cats around.
There's a cat in the neighborhood behind us named Harley that literally will follow people walking their dogs, and everybody knows him. He's super friendly.
Yeah.
He belongs to a house in the neighborhood behind us, and the lady's like, we tried to put him inside, and he hated it, so he just randomly wanders wherever he wants. He always comes back to that house. It's his little anchor point.
Nice.
And it's technically her cat, but like everybody knows that cat.
Yeah, I know that cat.
I wouldn't be shocked if this cat was... The cat that we found this morning was a son of Harley.
Son of Harley. I'm really hoping that it is the neighbor's cat. Because it's so hard for me to not keep that cat.
Yeah.
Like, financially, there's no way to afford to keep that cat.
No,
but, man,
no. It's not... The space just isn't big enough for two cats. We've had two cats in here before. And
it works. I could put two litter
It did
boxes.
not work for me. It might have worked for you. It did not work for me.
We'd put a litter box in my bathroom. We'd have two in there.
Yeah. That's up to you.
Ooh,
That's up to you.
Ooh, figuring it out already. But it's going to be the neighbor's cat, and that'll be that.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
But it was a little dusty.
I have my doubts, but you never know. You never know. I mean...
We'll keep you posted.
I assume he's probably like 3 months old, but he might only be like 8 weeks old. He might just be a big cat. I'm so used to Ripley, who was literally the size of a teacup when we got her.
He's probably a month or two old, I would think.
I think he's a little older than that. But
Maybe.
I don't know.
The weird thing is he was hungry. He was really, really hungry.
Which makes me believe he is not the neighbor's cat.
But kittens are always hungry.
That's true.
And they'll always eat food. Anyway, we'll keep you posted on the trials of the orange tabby.
Yeah.
But, man, what a cute cat. I hate it. I hate...
How cute cats are?
I just hate how much I love animals,
Yeah,
baby animals, and how I wish I had some ranch or something where I could have
yeah.
every animal in the world.
That would be the ideal, was having a big enough space for indoor and outdoor animals.
I'm like that lady. Did you ever see, totally random, but there was this dating profile that this lady did, and then you remember there was this time where these guys were turning all this stuff into songs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like the Kimmy Schmidt parody of They're Alive, damn it.
Yeah, it did.
So there was this woman, and I feel badly for her, but her profile was, she's like, I love cats. I really like cats. And then she just gets really emotional, and she's like,
oh, yeah,
I just can't hug every cat. And it was like really sad. I felt
You
her pain.
identified? You
Oh,
identified
100%.
with that?
If I
Yeah.
was on that dating site,
You'd
she'd
be
I'd be
like,
married by now. But that's how I feel. So it's just like, and it's just so random.
Yeah,
That a
it
cat
is
just
really-
shows up.
it
It's
is
just
really
such
weird.
a random thing. I love those random events, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about cats.
We're here to talk about
We're here
dogs.
to talk about dogs. Yeah, we finished up Dogs Days of Summer.
Summers. Yeah.
Man, it was a hot month, too.
It was hot, and it's not. September's looking to not be much cooler.
Yeah, September is usually pretty crappy in LA.
Yeah.
October is a toss-up, and then November it cools down.
It feels like October at least was like the slide towards getting much cooler.
Used to be.
But God knows, with climate change.
Wait, there's no climate change. Alan.
The humidity has something to say about that because it didn't used to be like this.
Yeah, we've old manned the humidity in California
I know.
over and over again. Those of you who don't live here now know how humid it can be.
It's just ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But to beat the heat, we watched a bunch of dog movies.
We did.
They were, for the most part, fun.
Yeah.
Oh Heavenly Dog was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. It was charming. It was charming.
It fits into the genre of weirdo films like
Oh, yeah.
Bugsy Malone,
Bugsy Malone.
and Murder by Death. And
Remember,
that kind of stuff.
yeah, it's just a weird movie.
And it's the same time period of those movies
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
which they did a lot of weird crap in the early 80s
Yeah.
and late 70s. It was a beautiful time for movies.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. It was super fun. I mean, it felt like you could do anything.
That's why I think if I were to pick a time to be a filmmaker,
Yeah.
I think the 70s would have been my pick.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Because I think they were doing the most interesting things because it was the beginning of the breaking up of the studio system.
Yeah.
You had a lot of stalwart independence, learning from the masters, the European, the masters of the new wave. And,
Right.
There was just so much excitement and stuff going on. You could be homely and be a star. There was no...
It also, like, sociologically, like, between Vietnam and Nixon and all this stuff, people felt like it was like, well, we might as well just do what we want.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like nothing matters, so,
And strangely enough, I think that it is the one period of cinema that is truly a meritocracy.
Yeah.
Where it seems like people... Didn't matter what you look like.
No.
Didn't matter, any of those superficial, BS that gauges that people had. It seemed like, if you were good, you get a shot. That's how
Right,
Coppola
right.
and Scorsese and De Palma and all these guys came up at that time because they were doing weird stuff. People were digging on it. 70s was just a weird experimental time. I think it's the most kind of experimental time in our country.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even like, Nicholson and De Niro and Pacino, like they were never
Hoffman.
conventionally handsome.
Look at
I mean,
Hoffman.
they were just weird looking dudes that were really good.
Oh, little guy with a big nose. I'm going to talk really weird.
How else would Richard Dreyfuss have become famous?
Richard Dreyfuss. I was turned into a monster.
It's true. It really was a meritocracy where it was like, oh, you're just good at this, so we'll have
Steven
you do
Spielberg,
this.
with
Spielberg,
Jaws and
Such a weirdo.
George Lucas, Star
Yeah.
Wars. These were independent filmmakers that defined. It's fun. It's ironic.
Yeah.
That these auteur independent filmmakers are what define the Hollywood mega blockbuster business.
Yes. Well, Hollywood course corrected hard in the 80s. Oh, man. And did away with all of that.
So the 80s are the opposite. As much as I love the 80s.
Same.
But I love the 80s despite the 80s. Like, the absurdity of the 80s is what makes the 80s so great. Like,
Yes.
the clothes, the hair, the music.
Yeah. It's almost like at the time it was mocking itself
Oh my
as
God.
stuff was being made.
TV shows were just empty, superficial garbage.
Awful. Just awful.
Movies were just big old, giant, soulless.
Yeah. Like, oh, more explosions and let's just talk about America.
Now let's redo the Vietnam War 16 times.
Oh, man. But
another auteur, Joe Camp.
Joe effing Camp,
Joe
man.
Camp did what he wanted. Hollywood didn't want him, and he said, fine, I'll do it myself.
And he was one of the most successful independent filmmakers in
Yes.
Hollywood history. Benji was a juggernaut, and it was made for very little money and made quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
Not
did,
that-
yeah.
I know we always are like, oh, money isn't everything, but,
I mean, yeah, but we still have to acknowledge the fact that Hollywood is a business.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to make people money to be able to keep making the things you want.
They would not have made... Oh, Heavenly Dog would not be made today the way it was then.
Right.
It was a quaint, cute, weird little movie with some of the greatest actors ever.
Yeah.
Omar Sharif.
Jane Seymour's great.
No, Jane Seymour is great.
And Chevy Chase was he was great at the time.
Love Chevy Chase.
Before he imploded.
Love Chevy Chase. Speaking of Chevy Chase, this is really weird. Again, just going down rabbit holes on YouTube.
Yeah.
I found Jensen Ackles and his wife did a shot-for-shot, exact costume, set, everything remake of the "You Can Call Me Al" video.
Oh, weird.
She's playing Chevy.
Weird.
He's playing Paul Simon. I mean, everything is.
Wow.
It's so well done.
Weird.
I don't know why it just makes me think that they're the coolest couple ever.
Yeah.
It's just, and then there's all these videos that I didn't watch any of them, but it seems like he and his wife do a lot of make-em-ups.
Well, good for them.
Awesome,
Hey,
though.
man.
I mean,
Yeah.
awesome. It's if you're a fan of like Supernatural or The Boys and you're a fan of Jensen, check it out. It's really funny, and I think there's also a video that does a side-by-side comparison.
Oh,
so you
nice.
can, see how, because they must have really
got into it.
Yeah, because they built the set.
Wow.
They got all the same instruments, the same
That's
costumes.
crazy. That's crazy.
She's wearing like a Chevy wig. She does a great Chevy Chase. It's really funny.
I'll have to check that out.
Check it out. But yeah, so getting back to the dogs.
Yes.
So, Heavenly Dog, enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah. And then our next two movies is, I think, one of the earliest examples of the Hollywood twinning.
Yes.
Because I can't think of any other movies before this.
Well, back in the day, they would have like competing wrestling movies or competing this. I mean, the studios always had genre movies that were competing.
Well, of course, yeah. But I mean, that was when they were churning out like 1,000 movies every year. I mean, it was
You're talking in the modern cinema.
Yeah, I can't think of a modern Hollywood movie where I think it's very apparent that someone heard that Turner and Hooch was being made and they said, "All right, I got the script called Canine. Let's do it.
Let's get Jim Belushi." Canine was fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
solid C.
I like thinking back on it. Now it's been a while, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, it has a positive feeling in my memory. So
Yes. It is very much an 80s action movie.
Oh yeah,
Where they supplant a dog.
yes,
For a person.
and and it definitely cemented the fact that Jim Belushi is not an action star.
No, he's a schlub, but he's a lovable schlub.
He is.
And again, they didn't. It was the macho version, Cody's macho version, because he couldn't be sad about the dog, and he's got to have a gruff exterior and talk to his girlfriend gruffly. But they kind of played with that a bit by giving her kind of a feminist bent. So
she was strong. She was very strong.
Played off him very well.
All these movies, well, except for Top Dog, which did not have a woman in it. Oh no, I'm sorry, it did. Sorry, it did.
Jackie Jodhpurs.
But the first three movies, like, the women were all really strong.
Yes. And so definitely worth a look. Turner and Hooch, the best of the bunch.
Almost perfect movie.
Yes. What ruins Turner and Hooch, if you haven't listened to the show and you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert. They kill the effing dog. You don't kill the dog. I mean, we said it 1,000 times.
There was no reason for the dog to die.
The movie would have been big style classic.
Yeah,
as big as big.
Yeah, I agree. And people still love this movie. I mean, it's done very well for us, and it's been, I think a lot of people kind of erase from their memory the fact that the dog died at the end.
Yes.
Because it's definitely more like happy nostalgia.
Right.
And it's just, that ending is just atrocious.
Well, it's also one of the absolutely worst decisions in Hollywood history. You have polling, they say, equally.
Yeah.
Unless
that sounds like studio spin to me.
Yeah, unless they were like, go into like a Nazi recruitment camp to get their kill the dog.
The We Hate Dogs Club.
Exactly. The Kitty Corner Club.
Yeah. Kill that dog.
It was the worst decision because if it's equal, let the dog live, man.
Yeah.
Let the dog
It would have
live.
been so easy. The ending wouldn't have changed.
Everything would have been exactly the same. And then after he scolds the little puppy in the closet, all he has to do is, and still we think Hooch is dead.
Yeah.
Where he just turns and goes, Hooch, take care of your kid. And there's Hooch, like, on the bed.
Right. Like
convalescing.
Just looking all cute and like he's sad or tired or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want to deal with it. Or he goes under the covers or something.
And then everybody goes home happy.
Yeah.
Nobody goes crying home because the dog that we've fallen in love with for the last 90 minutes is murdered. And then we have to watch Tom Hanks give one of his better emotionally charged performances saying goodbye to the dog.
Sucks that it was for a dog dying.
So
that
sad.
makes me so sad. But he was great. He was great in the movie.
Great. That again, but it's a movie that's not in my rotation because of that.
Yeah, I agree.
I can only watch it every once in a while. I enjoyed watching it, but like you said, as soon as we hit the warehouse, it's like
nope.
Dread City, the darkness falls upon us, and it's time to move on.
Yeah.
And then that's it. I think that's all we did for the month.
Yeah, there was something else we watched. I don't remember. It kind of went in one ear and out the other.
Yes, Top Dog.
The movie that killed Chuck Norris's theatrical career.
And deservedly so.
Perhaps the second worst decision in Hollywood was deciding to release that movie anyway 9 days after the Oklahoma City bombing.
I don't mean to laugh because that's not...
It's not funny.
There's nothing funny about Oklahoma City, but the absurdity...
Yeah.
Everything about Top Dog. You talk about every bad decision by the actors, the director,
it already
the
had
light.
so much going against it that you did not need the Oklahoma City bombing.
It's almost remarkable how many bad decisions went into making. Like this is, it's such a bad movie. Like we talk about bad movies like Madam Web or Showgirls or some of these movies that are just so bad that they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
And get together with your friends, have some drinks, and make fun of it. Man, this movie, there's no way to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
None.
No, it's not. I mean, even the parts where you're kind of getting into the movie, like there's a scene and you're like, oh, okay, I see. And then all of a sudden there's clowns shooting your house.
Yeah, then it takes a turn. It takes a turn.
That's so uneven.
To the absurd. It has absolutely...
The tone is so ridiculous.
It's, like I said in the last show, when you pick every tone, there is no tone. So
you flatline everything. It's bad.
We can't express to you enough to not watch this movie.
Please don't watch Top Dog. It actually is pretty hard to find. So don't even try.
I think doing this show should count as like community service for us.
Yeah.
Why? Because we did.
Are you in trouble with the law, Jim?
A little bit. I'm writing letters to my parole officer seeing if this will fit. But yeah, it's like it was a slog, baby. It's the worst out of everything. Even like when we did Laserdiscs and DVDs and every show of everything that we've done, it's the absolute worst thing that we've covered.
I actually, this is now my least favorite movie we've ever covered, and that's hard to do because I really did not like Hot Pursuit.
No, you didn't. Or Highlander. Highlander.
I didn't like Highlander either.
Highlander.
I still don't like Highlander, but at least Highlander has
Clancy Brown.
A couple positives going for it.
Conray.
Top Dog does not.
No. It's you sucked every ounce of talent out of talented Timothy Bottoms. Okay, I like to say nice things after saying horrible things. So I will say two nice things about Top Dog.
Okay.
One, the dog.
The dog was great.
Dog was great.
Reno, who's not his real name, but they never revealed his real name.
I did a little research and I found out that the dog sued his agents after this film, dropped them. And he left the business. He moved to Belize.
He became a PI.
Became a PI
in
dog.
Belize.
Yeah.
I literally can't even think of a city in Belize.
He was at Cape Cocker, a little island.
Oh, okay.
I visited that. It was
nice.
awesome.
Okay.
Blech.
I will say the best thing is that I did learn about that breed of dog, which I'd never heard of before.
Right. Oh, I said two things. Sorry.
Yeah.
So the one thing is the dog.
Yeah.
Number two, they killed the Pope.
He didn't actually die.
In my version, they did.
Okay. But he didn't actually
die. He died later from complications.
Was he the Pope?
In my opinion, he is. Why not, man? It's the most
true.
Stupid, absurd movie. We had Desmond Tutu in there. Why not the Pope?
That's true.
And then the head of Israel, apparently.
Yeah.
So that's the two good things I can say about it. And then the dude at the beginning, the pirater that got kicked out.
Carmine
Carmine
Caridi.
Cruz Caridi.
Carmine Caridi, who was really good.
Yeah, even though they gave him that tiny little members-only jacket and he couldn't get his badge out of it. It's just, again, I think the costume designer had some sort of learning disability where they had like a dyslexia when it came to sizes of clothes.
Right.
Because it was very tight on some people, like poor Carmine, or giant tents on other people, like Chuck Norris and his white
huge
suit coat.
I hated that movie.
All right, so enough talking about that. Those are the three.
Yeah, 4. definitely 4. Definitely check out Oh Heavenly Dog. It's better than you remember.
Yeah.
K9 and Turner and Hooch are great.
And if you're gonna hold your nose and watch Top Dog, please let us know what you think.
Yes, God, please. Email us, genxfilespodcast@gmail.com.
We have a support group. If anybody needs to join who watched Top Dog for PTSD.
You will need it.
Yeah. Well, a great month. Another successful Dog Days of Summer, part 2.
It was good.
And then next...
I think we've kind of run out of dog movies, so I think that might be it for Dog Days of Summer.
No, A Boy and His Dog.
Oh, okay. So one?
Dude, we'll find. Trust me.
All right, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I think the orange cat is a sign.
Yeah, maybe we'll do Cat Days of Summer.
Cat Days of Summer.
Cat's Eye. And,
well, there you go.
And The Cat from Outer Space.
And anyway.
Pet Cemetery.
Next month, I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah.
We're doing our Bill Pullman month.
Who's Bill Pullman?
Literally nobody else has ever done a Bill Pullman month.
We're pulling Bill Pullman month, and it's early. We're going to do a few Bill Pullman months. This is the origins of Bill Pullman month.
Yeah,
so it's basically his first 3 movies.
Essentially. I mean, we already covered Spaceballs, but
yeah.
But
second,
his
third,
his
second,
first,
third, fourth,
third and fourth, I believe. Yeah. There might be one other in there somewhere, but yeah, early anyway. It's the first 3 years of his career.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
some fun stuff. Ruthless People by the Zucker brothers and Abrams,
he's so good.
And Wes Craven's crazy
The Serpent and the Rainbow.
The Serpent and the Rainbow, which is a total cult hit.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in a million years. I'm so excited to watch it because when I watched it, I had only seen Pullman in Ruthless People and Spaceballs, so I thought he was a dopey comedic actor.
Yeah, he's what? Yeah.
And he's got a dopey face. Let's be honest. Like when he was young, he looked like a dope. And probably because he plays dope so well, but he's got that gift of being able to empty his face of any sort of emotion or whatever. I mean, in Ruthless People, he played dummy well.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Playing dummy well isn't about being dumb.
No,
it's about how you play dumb.
Yes.
And you could play, I'm a dummy, and that's stupid.
Yeah.
But you playing like a naive, dumb person who just doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
And doesn't have the intellectual curiosity to find out.
Like Bill and Ted. Like, they pulled it off perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, they're not dumb hateable. They're just dumb and kind of charming dumb.
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley does that really well.
Perfectly, because he was dumb and earnest. And,
yes.
And it's like, he wasn't necessarily dumb, he was just slob, a drunk or a drug addict or whatever, and had to come around and
right.
But like Black Sheep's so good, or Black Sheep was really good,
was
but Tommy Boy
was great,
masterpiece. But yeah, it's a gift to be able to play dumb that convincingly.
Yeah,
and when you play it that convincingly,
it's hard for your career.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It takes a long time for you to get out of that.
When you're so good and you can play so many different things, but you hit something first, and you do it so well. Yeah, and it just stymies your career. Like Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yeah. He was stuck in that dumb category for
years. And nobody would let him get out. He was trying desperately to get out of it.
It wasn't really until The Matrix when people saw him differently.
And the crazy thing is he didn't start out that way. Like,
no.
River's Edge is an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Amazing performance by him.
Bill and Ted was the first thing that was wide release, and man, he just nailed that character so hard.
And they're more like just wide-eyed naive than dumb.
Yeah.
Like they have emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the good dumb characters. But Bill Pullman and Ruthless People had no emotion, no signs of any sort of intelligence.
So well,
But
so
just
well.
brilliant.
He's
So
good.
next month is going to be a lot of fun. I don't even know if I've seen Brain Dead, and if I have, it's been a million years.
I definitely have not, so I'm really curious to check it out. It looks super weird.
So all you pool heads out there, it's time. It's your time to shine.
It's interesting. It's going to transition really well into our October stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about the next couple months.
Yeah, me too. Not that this month was bad, but
No,
the
it
next
was great.
couple are
It was
coming. We got some really great stuff coming up for you guys.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what's going on in the present time.
Yeah, let's talk about some stuff that we've watched and played.
Well, let's
Start
talk
with
about,
the movies?
Let's go with the moves.
Yeah.
Well, we watched for movie night. We watched the new Prime release, Jackpot,
Yeah. Directed by Paul Feig
starring John Cena and Aquafina.
and Simu Liu. Simu Liu? Sorry, I said his name wrong.
Simu.
Simu Liu. And Machine Gun Kelly.
Machine Gun Guy. It's
Who was surprisingly good.
very good. Well, you know what's funny is there was this show that Paul Feig did called Welcome to Clatch or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on for a couple seasons. It was really good. It was like a documentary style thing.
Oh, really?
It starts Sean William Scott as this
Okay.
like small town preacher.
Okay, this is sounding more familiar.
But he cast so many people from that show.
Oh,
I think he felt bad that it was
in Jackpot.
yeah, because Sean William Scott's in it.
Oh, yeah.
He was the star. Taylor Ortega, Holmes, who's the comedian that was the taxi driver
Yes.
at the beginning.
Yes.
She was basically the star.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was like her and her
She's really funny.
cousin. The show was really
I'll have to check
fun.
that out. I'll have to figure out what it is.
It did get canceled. Flatch, sorry. Welcome to Flat. There was a couple other people from the
I
show.
wouldn't be surprised if he was probably making the movie right around the time that show was being
Canceled.
aired. Yeah. Well, I mean, he probably made it right afterwards.
But apparently he and Holmes, she's just like, I only want to work with him.
No.
It's like he's giving me so many opportunities.
Paul Feig is an incredibly nice guy.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of meeting him once at a show, and I love. He's the kind of guy that he falls into the Alfred Hitchcock stance of, well, if I'm directing, people have to respect me. So he wears a suit.
Yep.
Every single time, a 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
Every single time he directs.
That's his thing. That's fine.
He's cool. He's nice. He's a good dude. He's a really nice guy, and I think he's really funny. Yeah, he's cool. Anyway, he's good. And Jackpot is an incredibly fun movie.
Oh my! If you like Aquafina, which I love Aquafina,
She's so great. Yeah.
and I love John Cena. I think John Cena and Dave Bautista are the greatest things to come out of the World Wrestling Federation.
yeah.
The two best actors. I think John Cena. I could see John Cena doing drama.
Oh yeah, no, dude. After I almost said Homelander, but the show that he
Peacemaker.
did, Peacemaker. There was so much vulnerability in Peacemaker. It was so good.
He does not shy away from making fun of himself.
No,
he's a great physical comedian. He's just really likable.
He's a fantastic dude. I just found out, I didn't know this, but did you know that John Cena just last month retired from wrestling?
No.
He had been wrestling this entire time.
That's crazy.
His entire career. Not as much, obviously, because he's very busy, but he was still participating in WWE stuff.
I'm sure there's a ton of money.
Up until like a month ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a ton of money. But like, it just blew my mind because I thought he had done away with that stuff a long time ago.
Well, I mean, we're not fans, so
I don't follow it, but I mean, but that's that just makes me give even more respect to him because he is such a busy person.
Yeah,
he's fulfilled more Make-A-Wish kids' wishes than anybody else.
Nice.
It's upwards of like 40,000.
Jeez,
like it's like an insane amount.
Well, good for him.
But so he's one of the hardest working people in Hollywood, and he's so good, and I want him to continue his success.
Yeah, no, he's a guy that you root for. He's definitely somebody that you root for. And this movie, just again, it's another in the string of good decisions he's making.
Yeah.
I love absurd, violent, crazy, fish out of water movies. Yeah. And they did some really clever things. So the premise of the movie is it's near future. It's like 10 years.
2030.
Yeah, 2030. It's like 6 years from now. And the California lottery system is such that you have, if whomever wins, everybody has until sundown to kill them
If you kill the person that wins, you get to collect the money.
Right. You can't use guns. You can't use explosives.
That's the thing that I really enjoyed in the movie was that there were no guns.
Yeah, which was great. Well, there were like rubber bullet guns.
Yeah, but not, it's so easy to rely on action movies to have guns. And the fact that you couldn't meant that it had to be more clever.
So much more interesting.
Yeah.
And they get away with Awkwafina being able to kind of handle herself because she's really good at stage combat, which is really funny because she doesn't actually hit people when she's fine. Anyway, I don't want to spoil anything.
It's a great movie.
Hilarious. Any movie that can make Machine Gun Kelly hilarious is...
I mean, granted, he pretty much played himself as far as I know.
He literally played himself.
I mean, he might not, but he was so good.
Very good.
His one-liners were really great. He was charming. Like, I have more respect for him.
I love people who will brutally mock themselves.
Oh yeah,
that are game
for
anything.
So can I get a panic room inside my panic room?
he's great. He's the opposite of Steven Seagal.
Oh, yes.
It
was really fun.
It was really good. I can't recommend it enough. If you like comedy action,
so good.
It just rolls and it keeps going and it's a lot of fun and. If you're fans of those two, you're going to love it. If you don't like Awkwafina, do not watch it.
No. But Awkwafina and John Cena play off each other really well.
Really well.
Simu Liu was okay. Like, I don't like him playing bad guys. It's a little weird.
To me, this is the mistake that these guys make.
Yeah.
I call it the Timothy Bottoms effect because he's like the first guy that did it. You don't need to yell as a bad guy.
Yeah.
It's so much more effective if you don't. It's so much more effective if it's underneath the surface and it's in the eyes and it's a controlled thing. So if it does come out, then it's a lot more effective.
Controlled rage is much more effective than just screaming.
But I also get it's a comedy and he was kind of playing it broad.
Yeah, he was.
For the comedy, and I get it.
And he wasn't bad.
Not at all.
At all.
Not
it just
at all.
was odd. And I like him as Shang-Chi, so
Yes.
it's like it's really hard,
In a movie that had really great performances all around, very grounded performances all around, his just seemed a bit over the top.
Yes.
In parts, not throughout the whole thing.
No.
And it in no way takes the movie down.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Because it's all part of it too. You also get to see Leslie David from Office. He was Stanley.
Yeah, he's great. He's a super nice guy.
Haven't seen him forever. And
It was a
he
great
directed
movie.
a lot of The Office too, didn't he?
I think he directed some.
Yeah.
I don't know how much, but
So
anyway, check it out. It's on Prime.
that's our big recommendation of the month.
Jackpot. Highly recommend it. It's really fun.
And last night, really fun. Adam and I, we watch a lot of stuff for the show, and usually during the day. And it's been a long time since we've just kind of watched something for pleasure.
Yeah.
And we both were jonesing for some Taco Bell, and it was a perfect combination. We got some Taco Bell, did a little puff puff, and watched Furiosa last night.
Yeah. It came out on HBO Max last week. Or a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
and we didn't see it in the theater, much like most everybody else in America.
Unfortunately,
Unfortunately, that movie. Did you know that movie cost $233 million to make?
No.
It was the most expensive Australian movie ever made.
Did it do well in Australia?
Yeah, it did well in Australia. It did not do as well here. I didn't see the final box office
Right.
numbers for worldwide, but
It just bums me out because it means there's probably not going to be more Mad Max, and I love that world.
I love Mad Max. Chris Hemsworth had a great quote where he was like, Americans have Star Wars, the Brits have Harry Potter, we have Mad Max.
Yeah.
And
That's
part of
awesome.
the reason that he wanted to be in that, he fought so hard to be in that movie because he loved it since he was little. And it just makes me sad that there's potential that it's not going to happen again.
Yeah, and it is not a bad movie at all.
No, it was
At
not.
all. The thing about George Miller, he, more than anybody else I can think of, does pacing
Yeah.
so well.
Oh, the movies start and they just run.
It is a car ride, man. They start the engine, they start driving, and it doesn't stop until the credits. And I thought Anya Taylor-Joy,
She was
great. She didn't speak very much.
Yeah, and the other, Alila, I think her name is Lila Brown. She plays the younger version of Furiosa. The younger version of Furiosa. She's really good, too.
She was really good, and she looked a lot like her.
Yeah, did you know why? because they used AI to mix their faces together so they looked more alike.
That's crazy.
I was reading about this last night. From the first scene, 35% of her face is Anya Taylor-Joy. Like, they blended it using mechanical generation from AI. And then by the end, when I said, like, I was like, oh, they cast somebody else, in the character, where I didn't think she looked like Anya Taylor-Joy. That was because it was still Lila Brown, but 80% of her face was Anya Taylor-Joy.
Weird.
And that first scene where she catches the truck that's going down, that was that scene. And then finally, it's just Anya Taylor-Joy. And it's like, oh, yeah, the big eyes and everything. But they used AI, CGI, to make them look more alike.
It was seamless.
I agree. I had no idea. Way
to go, AI.
Yeah. The one time that AI is good. And it came out around the time when, the strike was happening and the actors were AI. We don't know about AI.
Yeah.
And George Miller made it very clear that he was like, it was all consensual with all the actors. Like, they knew we were doing this. Like, they signed on for this. Like, and it looked cool. And it worked.
I don't see the problem with using AI for that.
No. It's when you're trying to generate like
actors or content or writing, and
or did you hear that quote from this is now moving on to video games, but the quote from the Bungie CEO who tried to make a case saying that, well, technically there's no actors in video games.
Oh, yeah. Oh, what a piece of ass. Yeah, that's their own strike.
This is why we can use AI, because there's really no actors in video games.
Yeah, tell that to...
Yeah, well, the guy who played
The Last of Us.
The God of War guy, like, had a huge rebuttal that was essentially just like, F you, man.
Oh, my God. Well, not to get sidetracked.
Yeah.
Because we have,
we got a lot to talk about.
Other stuff to talk about, but, video games today aren't Donkey Kong, man. They are narrative. No. Red Dead Redemption is one of the best stories I've experienced.
The Last of Us
is an amazing experience. We're blending art and video games now in a way.
Right.
It's always been art. I always thought video games,
even
from the beginning,
even Pac-Man and Donkey Kong,
art.
Yeah,
but now it's becoming more of a serious narrative-driven experience.
More storytelling.
Yeah, which we'll get into when we get into video games, because I got the perfect one for that.
Yeah.
But Furiosa had Tom Burke.
He was a Praetorian Jack.
I love the names.
Who's kind of Mad Maxy a little bit.
Softer Mad Max.
He was great because he normally is cast as bad guys. And so when he read the script and found out that, he was like, oh, he actually has a conscience. He was so excited about it. He was really good. I really believed the relationship.
Yeah.
And it didn't go into the... It was almost more like father-daughter. Mm-hmm. Like, because I was afraid it was going to go into that weird kind of romantic thing. And
Mentor,
I was like, please
mentee.
don't do that. And it didn't. And
no, they did it really well. And look, I don't think in any of the Mad Max movies there's been a romantic undertone.
No. The first three there couldn't be, because...
Well, the first one he's avenging his wife.
Yes.
His wife
she's in the
technically
first,
alive.
half of the movie, yeah.
But the second one, there's
there's nothing.
Love interest, and there's no love interest in... Thunderdome, except for maybe Master Blaster, but
definitely not in Fury Road.
No, so that's it's not the point of those movies.
No, I know, but I was just afraid that was going to happen, and it didn't, and I respected that. It was nice to see a good relationship between a man and a woman that didn't have to be sexual.
But nobody does car combat. Nobody does practical car effects like him. I was telling Adam, man. Whomever got to design those cars or the motorcycles too, must have just had the most.
All of it.
Chris Hemsworth is Dr.
No, he's the Dementus.
Yeah, it's Dr. Dementus. Oh, it's Doctor?
No, it's not.
Doctor.
It is not. They never call him Dr. Dementus.
They're thinking of Dr. Dementia.
No.
Dr.
Demento.
Dr. Demento. But he has this chariot.
Oh my God!
With like four motorcycles that
three
motorcycles that are pulling it, and he steers them with reins.
So cool looking,
insane. There's like machine guns in the front of all the motorcycles.
Yeah, flying. The guy with the big octopod or whatever, the flying like. That's why he had. It was funny. It comes on the Dementus's like second in command is got the awesome black mask,
Harley.
And the horns, and that wasn't his name. Was actually Smeg.
Well, he in the movie he calls him Harley, and he's Davidson, and it is Schmeg.
I know, whatever. But it's the giant flying, like he comes on and he's got that giant like fan on the back, and Jim's like, why the hell does he have that fan? And then we find out like half an hour later, it's because he can fly the damn thing.
So crazy. It's a lot of fun, great action.
Yeah.
Gory.
It did use, in my eyes, I feel like it used a little too much CG.
A couple of moments. There's a moment of the woman getting on the horse at the beginning that looked really weird.
And then there was a point at the beginning with the mom chasing him down where a guy falls off, and it was just odd. She gets shot and falls off a motorcycle, and it was very obviously CG.
Well, he also does this thing too that he's done since the beginning from Mad Max, where he shaves frames to make things kind of speed up a bit.
And that definitely, you definitely see that. There's a couple times where she's like riding the motorcycle on a ridge or something, and it's like bop, 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 and it's like okay, like I get it. But he did actually, compared to Fury Road used CGI 2,000 times. Which also seems like a lot, but it has to do with
little tweaks and stuff.
The Furiosa used over 20,000 instances of CGI, and he said the main reason is stuff that you wouldn't even notice because like during that sequence on the war rig and one of the greatest action sequences in the movie, like he's like that took 78 days to shoot.
Jesus,
and so. The sky, they found one of the times they were shooting, and the sky looked good, and so they just used that for all of it.
Oh, wow.
And so it was like they just popped in the good sky over the times, so they didn't have to stop shooting. They could just keep going. But that right there was 40 instances or 1,000 instances of CGI.
So it's not, it's not Star Wars.
No,
where
they're not on a green screen or anything. Because they shot all this in Australia. It's all in the out in the middle of the desert in Australia.
I just love that world, and we were both talking because we're huge fans of the video game, the Mad Max video game. Which, if you haven't played it and you have a device to play it on,
you usually can get it for like $3 or $4.
Yeah, it's nothing now.
Pick it up.
Oh my god, it is! I played through it a couple of times.
Yeah, I've played through it at least 4 or 5 times.
Such a great open world.
And now I want to play through it again.
I know, me too. Me too. Post-apocalyptic wise, and probably because it was one of my first kind of getting into post-apocalyptic stuff as as a not a teenager, but as like a tween, I guess.
Yeah.
It's always stuck with me, and
I love the franchise so much.
It's just so unique, and it's so uniquely Australian.
Oh, so much,
which is so great about it.
Well, this was also the first time it very decidedly says that it's set in Australia, because it starts. The first shot starts in space and then pushes in, and you see the continent of Australia, and then as you go into the green world. But it's the first time in the 5 movies that they've actually decidedly said that it was set in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it has to be anyway, because they're so
New York.
Trebles? You had some trebles?
Yeah. I also want to just point out that Quaden Bales was in the movie. There was this viral video in 2020 that went out, and he's sitting in his mom's car, and he's crying, and it's so heartbreaking if you've seen it. I remember I watching it, and he asked for a knife to kill himself.
Oh, Jesus.
There's just this little kid, because he's bullied so hard, and it touched so many people that George Miller put him in 3,000 Years of Longing. With Idris Elba and Tilda Swinton.
I still haven't seen that yet.
Neither have I. I want to. And then he gave him a pretty big part, a really cool part in Furiosa, where he has this whole. I don't want to spoil it, but this whole backstory and everything, which I just was like, what an amazing thing for this kid, to go from wanting to kill yourself to being in these huge movies. It's just what a great thing for George. I just want to point that out because
George
it really
Miller
touched me.
Is a great dude.
Yeah.
I mean. Despite having the most disparate oeuvre of films between the Mad Max franchise and Happy Feet,
I know. Wow.
It's
I keep
so
forgetting
weird. It's so weird. But it's because he wanted to do more CG. He loved computer animation, and he's just a fascinating dude. Much like George Lucas, just wanted to keep pushing the technology and keep pushing it to help tell stories.
He also kind of seems like a big kid that likes playing in a big sandbox.
Yeah,
his love of the franchise and of Australia and of all this stuff just comes through so well in his movies. It's not perfect. There's a few things.
No, I much like you were saying, usually the movies they run, and this one did. It has chapter breaks.
Yeah.
Not a fan of the chapter breaks. It's just weird in Mad Max movies.
Breaks it up. You don't need to break up a Mad Max movie.
It just needs to keep... And I get it because it takes place over like 15 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's going to be time passage. But they did that one time really great, the time passage with the tree growing. And I was like, just do more of that.
Exactly. And I mean, and quite frankly, we don't need to know about that much time. I mean, it's just
you see an older version of Furiosa, you're going to assume time has passed.
Yeah. And another gripe, and for the most part, I thought Chris Hemsworth did a really good job.
Yeah.
The climax of the movie was very anticlimactic. And
Yeah.
his big speech at the end and their big confrontation at the end, I get what he was going for.
Yeah.
But it didn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I would have rather seen, I know he's probably like, it's totally cliche to have a big fight or whatever at the end.
Right.
But we're gunning for that.
Yeah.
We've been following Furiosa for the entire movie, trying to get revenge on this guy.
Yeah.
And then for her just kind of sit there and let him monologue for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But what she actually did to him was excellent.
Well, it was interesting in the fact, and I feel like they could have peppered this more throughout the movie, because there is the whole like storytelling man or whatever, the history man, who's kind of narrating, but he only pops in once in a while.
Sure.
But like, I feel like they could have done more of that, because the end it's like, well, people think that she did this, and people think she did this, but the truth is, and then it's like, okay, you're building up this mythology of Furiosa, which is fantastic.
Exactly.
And makes more sense for Fury Road, but that needed to be peppered more throughout.
Right, because if we're doing it through the lens of the storyteller, then any sort of kind of bombastic thing is fine, because we're listening to somebody's version of the story.
Right.
But you're right, it does need to be more of a through line throughout the film than just kind of popping in when it's convenient.
It's like, but I will agree that his fate was messed up.
One of the worst I've ever seen.
Ooh, buddy.
But I'd give it an 8.
Yeah, I would too.
Solid
I would give it an
8.
8. Very solid 8.
It's a almost 3 hour movie.
Yeah, it's like 2.5. Yeah,
it whips, man.
It does.
It does not. There was no part where I was bored or looking at my watch or grabbing for my phone.
No.
I was in it to win it.
Yeah, it was so good. I mean, the only time I had my phone up was because I was looking up trivia about it because I was super curious.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, check it out. HBO Max. I do want it.
Yes.
There's
big gripe.
This is the biggest gripe, and this is for you, Zaslav. Now, streaming services aren't making money. They're trying to figure out different ways to squeeze this out of nickels and dimes and dollars.
Yeah.
So now sound is in a paywall. So if you want Dolby Atmos, or if you want even real like Dolby Surround or whatever,
right.
you got to pay the premium price. So we only have like the middle tier Max. That's just so we don't have to watch ads.
Right.
The sound mix.
Oh my god.
It's the worst sound mix of any streaming service.
That was the worst sound mix for a movie I've ever seen.
We had to jack up the volume to like 80.
Yeah, almost 90 at times.
To hear the dialogue, and then we'd have to quickly juke it back down for any
because then it was
action
just
sequence.
Like shaking the entire building.
They do this because they figure people are going to get frustrated and they'll end up spending the extra couple of bucks. I know that they're doing this on purpose.
They don't care.
They don't care. And it's gotten to the point, for me, if I'm going to watch a movie, TV's pretty good.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Because, it's made by HBO. I mean, they got to...
Yeah.
Whatever. But watching a movie, I'll have to do it in headphones.
Yeah.
Because it's so frustrating to try to listen to something.
I literally thought, the history man we were talking about, I literally thought at the beginning, the couple scenes where he's just...
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe we're just not supposed to know what he's saying. Which is not true.
Yeah.
It was just a crappy mix.
Yeah, so... F you, Zaslav.
This is why more and more people are turning on their subtitles.
Exactly.
Well,
it's dumb. It's just this kind of behavior is going to turn people away from your company.
Yeah, exactly.
And Zaslav is one of the worst CEOs in the business.
Should not be running an entertainment company.
He's fine to run a soulless, crappy reality TV show network,
or go run your investment firm or your whatever,
whatever you need to do.
Just don't be involved in the entertainment.
You are an enemy to art. He is an enemy to art, and
100%. He's proven that time and time again.
He is the worst. He is the prime example of the worst of this business.
You only need to see 30 classic movies a month. You don't need to see all of them. It's fine.
I don't care if you guys worked for 3 years on this movie.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in the vault and no one will see it because I need a tax break.
Yeah, I need my $95 million.
F you, Zaslav. I cannot say that enough.
I will say, upcoming, at least they're finally going to release the new version of Salem's Lot.
Yes.
That is coming out in October. Finally.
Well, there would have been such a backlash. There are a lot of Stephen King fans
It's
out
been
there.
way too long already. It's been
Yeah.
sitting on a shelf for like 3 years.
Ridiculous.
But it's finally getting released. So
Oh, man. Did you see the teaser trailer for The Monkey, the new Stephen King?
No.
Done by the guy that did Longlegs?
Oh, really? No. I'll check that out. All
It's
right.
a quick teaser.
Okay.
But I'm so excited.
All right.
It's such a great short story of his. It's gory as F. Check out that trailer if you're a Stephen King fan. Let's talk about. Why don't you talk about The Empty Man?
I watched this movie. I've been getting on this cosmic horror bent. For some reason now, all my YouTubes is literally just lists of cosmic horror movies.
Nice.
Because I'm curious. I love cosmic horror. I like Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Despite his issues, but he brought up a whole new genre that
Yeah.
people hadn't really dealt with.
Oh, yeah.
And I think cosmic horror is really interesting. It can be much more personal than people think. It doesn't have to just be giant elder gods.
Right.
But I watched this movie called The Empty Man, written and directed by David Pryor, his feature debut. He's done a bunch of shorts. The funny thing is that this was actually filmed in 2017.
Really?
And they did some test screenings of it, and the studio, it did not go well, and the studio completely lost confidence in the movie. And so they had him keep working on it, but it got to a point where there was no money left for post, and they were like, the pandemic happened in March of 2020,
Yeah.
and they were like, well, we're going to release it in October. And he's like, but the theaters are all shut down. And they're like, whatever, it's fine. And it made no money, and it was bad. It was bad for the box office.
Right. Bad for the movie.
He has actually come out saying that the movie that got released is still a rough edit. Like, he wanted to go in and do more editing, but they didn't have the money for it. So
That's the awful thing about being a first-time filmmaker is they will railroad you.
so frustrating. But the movie stars James Badge Dale. He was in The Departed and The Grey and Iron Man 3.
Okay.
He's one of those faces you see him and you're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
But he's not huge. You know, he always plays supporting parts. He was also in The Pacific, the quasi-sequel to Band of Brothers, which that had like 40 people in it.
If I see him, I'll know him.
Yeah. There was actually like a cameo from Stephen Root too, which was really great. I had no
nice.
idea. It's the beginning. The first 22 minutes of that movie is four guys in Bhutan going to find, like, they're just traveling, and the guy, one of the guys hears a whistling, and he ends up falling into a crevice, and then there's this weird skeleton. And one of the friends comes down and is like, the guy that fell in is just sitting there staring at it. And he's like, hey, guy, like, we should go. And the second he comes near it, all the guy says is, don't touch me. And he's like, all right, well, we have to do this. And the first 22 minutes is great. And then it jumps to like 25 years later.
Oh, wow.
And
Like
it's
Furiosa.
good. And James Badge Dale is a detective, and he's trying to figure out, some people are missing and die, and they always write on the thing, the empty man made me do it, and like in blood and all this stuff. And it becomes kind of like it almost feels like a creepypasta, but like it definitely needed to be edited. Knowing now that it was a rough edit and that David Pryor wasn't totally happy with how it ended or how it went, like, I totally get it, because it was like a 2.5-hour movie, and it did not need to be that long.
Right.
But I will say that first 22 minutes is some of the best filmmaking I've ever seen. It was so good. It was done so well.
Nice.
It made me want to watch the whole rest of the movie. I literally had to watch an explanation video afterwards because I had no idea what was going on at the end.
Awesome.
It made sense once I saw someone actually break it down.
Right.
But it was good. It was. I recommend it. I don't know. I had to search really hard to find this, so it's not easily available. But I recommend it. I think it's a good movie, and I like where the director was his first feature, so I'm hopefully he'll be making more stuff. But I'm curious to see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it. I just looked up James Badge Dale, and I know who he is.
Yeah.
I really like him.
Yeah,
He is a really good actor.
He's good, and he's really good in this movie, and it's It's really interesting. All the supporting actors are really good. It has twists and turns. Like it's cosmic horror to the effect of you never know if what is happening is actually real or not.
Yeah.
And like I was convinced it was going a certain way, and then it definitely wasn't. Because I remember I had to watch it over a couple days just because I don't have time.
Right.
And I remember coming to Jim and being like, "Oh, the last half hour is what I think it is," and it wasn't what I thought it was. But it worked. So anyway, it's good. It's interesting.
Nice.
I recommend it.
Okay, cool. I'm going to check it out. I was going to try to watch it before, but I ended up watching the next movie that we're going to talk about quickly.
Yes.
Which is kind of our, I guess, indie pick of the month.
Yeah.
It's an older movie.
2019.
Yeah. Called The Beach House.
Yeah, it's on Shudder. It was another one that was recommended by one of my cosmic horror movie lists.
Yeah.
It is cosmic horror in the sense that there's a lot of stuff happening, but the characters don't know what's happening, like
neither do
why
we.
it's happening. Yeah.
We're experiencing. This is what I love about these kind of cosmic horror movies is that we're experiencing the incident with the characters, and we know as much and as little as they.
Yes.
And so.
Yes.
As confused as they are, we're confused. And a lot of times, you don't get that cleaned up. You don't get to find out.
No, there's no happy bow tie ending. Yeah.
No, and I was really impressed with this film because it's a smaller film, a very small cast.
Yeah. 4. I mean,
Yeah.
4. I think it's just the 4 actors.
Yeah,
as far
4
as I know.
actors and a couple of stunt people. And
Yeah.
then, one main location and just a few other locations. Such a huge crew for such a small movie, by the way. I was like, what the hell? What are all these people? Where are they going? What do they do? But it stars...
Liana Liberato.
Yeah, exactly. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah, Liana Liberato.
So it stars Liana Liberato.
Yeah.
I've noticed her in a few things before. I think she's really good. She was in the newest season of the Criminal Minds reboot or extend, whatever they call it.
Whatever,
I think it's on Peacock.
Oh, okay.
Is it on Peacock? Anyway, it's like a Peacock only show.
Right.
And it's the second season of the reboot of this. It's a show that I love with Joe Mantegna and Paget Brewster and a lot of people. But she was one of the main bad guys in this season.
Oh, interesting.
And really, really great performance. Very, very
she
nuanced.
was also in Scream 6, and she was in Totally Killer. That movie, the kind of time travel high school movie.
Yeah. She is definitely somebody who's up and coming.
Yes.
And she was the best part of this movie, in my opinion, acting wise. I thought, they were all really good.
The boyfriend I didn't recognize. I don't know what else he's done.
I didn't love him, but I think mostly that's because of of his character. I don't think it was...
Yeah, his character was, I want to say, a little underwritten, or maybe even overwritten. A little overwritten.
Very overwritten. And this is one of the... We talked about this. This is one of the problems I had was there's this conflict within the relationship where he quit college and she wants to go to grad school.
Kind of disappeared from school and the relationship.
And he wants to move into this house. And it's like the tension between them doesn't come across. It's like at the beginning, they seem very happy, but they seem a little bit off. But there was it was just kind of messy. It's just, we didn't need that extra bit of drama.
Yeah. I feel like it kind of muddied the rest of, because when they happen upon the other couple that are in the house, like friends of his dad's, like it was just kind of like, well, but you guys are like having this weird fight. Like, why wouldn't you just leave?
Exactly.
Like,
and it was weird. It was like, I like the beginning where, because I thought like, when it first started, I'm like, is this going to be like one of those multi-dimensional where there's like time travel almost where there's but it was nothing like that.
No.
But it also, Noah LaGrosse was the name of the actor that plays the boyfriend. And he was good. It's just that their relationship, I didn't care. Spoiler alert. I didn't care what happened to him at the end. Like, I wasn't broken up. She did a great job of playing it, but it just, they didn't establish a relationship that I was rooting for.
Right. I agree.
And not that it's super important in this, but I think it kind of is.
Yeah, no. When you have a cast of 4 characters or 4 actors,
Yeah.
like you kind of gotta. That stuff has to be more smoothed over.
Yes.
Because I thought the relationship between the older couple was really interesting.
Yeah, Jake Weber, who plays the older guy, he's an actor that I love. He
Pops up in everything.
Yeah, he was in
The remake of Dawn of the Dead.
Yep, he was the star of that.
Yeah.
Great in that, and he was great in this. And he played Stoned really well. And so did Marianne Nagel, who played...
They were really good, but that relationship was interesting because, like, she obviously... Like, the wife had some anxiety issues or whatever that she'd take medication for.
She was dying.
And he was,
I mean, it's not a spoiler or anything, but
Yeah.
she's got a terminal disease, and he wanted to bring her out for,
Right.
like, one last
yeah.
hurrah.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was more... it felt like it was better written than the relationship.
Yes. Yeah, and that was the least interesting thing and the biggest misstep of the movie the only real misstep of this movie.
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
opinion.
because it was great. It was also, man, once it got into the story and like the stuff started happening.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it's so creepy and weird. It's like a combination of the fog,
Yeah.
and of some weird Lovecraftian
The body horror.
horror, and you never really find out what's happening. You just experience this.
Yeah.
With Leanna, with Emily, the character.
yeah.
She's basically our surrogate, and you experience this with her. I really enjoyed it. I love like the liminal space kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it seems familiar, but it's not. And it just had this unsettling feeling throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
That it was a lot of fun.
It was really the liminal stuff was really interesting because it's a beach house and there's other beach houses around and there's a big beach, but there's literally nobody else around.
No.
Never anybody else around. And
Well,
it's
they were dead.
what is going on?
Or they're
What is
changing
going-
into
well, yeah.
things.
It was just it just helped with setting the tone of just how unsettling the movie was.
Yeah, that's the perfect word for it, unsettling. And that's the basic feel of these movies. Is they're not necessarily there to scare you or they're there to elicit a feeling of dread.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And you really kind of with these movies more than any other in the quoties horror genre, you really feel what's going on with the main character. You really experience it with them.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah. It's great. We highly recommend it. It's on Shudder. It's still there. Give it a watch. It's really fun.
Older movie.
Less than 90 minutes. It is done very well.
Yeah.
Has some of the grossest stuff I've ever seen
super
in a
gross.
movie. And it's brief, but it's effective.
Keep your eyes keep on the watch out for Leanna Liberato.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
she's a star on the rise.
She is. She's only 29, so like she's definitely, and she was way longer resume than I thought she had.
Yeah.
So like she's been acting since she was like 18.
Yeah, she's getting a lot of work, and she's very good at playing down to earth normal person.
Yeah. She was very relatable.
Thank you, relatable. So check it out.
Check it out. Check out the Beach House.
So what you watching on the tubes?
I am more in line with that kind of cosmic horror, psychological dread. I've been watching Channel Zero, which is on Shudder as well.
Nice. It's a commercial for Shudder this month.
Shudder. I for some reason the last 3 weeks I've been getting really into horror stuff again. I don't know why. Maybe it's the build up to Halloween.
Yeah.
But normally I'm like, oh, I should start watching some horror stuff, and I don't. But now I'm like, whatever. This is it.
Well, Shudder does such a great job of making you want to watch horror because they preview. It's just I love the interface of the Shudder app.
Yeah. It's good. So Channel Zero is really good. It's essentially 4 seasons. Each season is only 6 episodes. They're all standalone seasons. They're all
But not standalone episodes.
No.
So it's not anthology.
Standalone seasons.
Okay.
I mean, it's anthology, but like
Seasonal anthology.
like American Horror Story.
Oh, okay.
Like the season is the full story.
Perfect.
But each season is based off of a creepypasta, which has been online for 10 plus years.
Explain that to people who may not know.
It started originally on 4chan, which is
Now 8chan.
horrible place. Don't ever go to 4chan.
That's where the QAnon conspiracy
You can post
started.
stuff very anonymously. The second you log in, you have a different log name. I mean, every time you refresh, you have a different login name. So, like, you can never trace anybody.
It's the perfect place to be a piece of shit.
Yeah. It's just not good. But it started originally on that, and then Reddit took over, and there's a subreddit called Creepypasta, and people would submit stories, essentially just fan fiction stories.
Yeah. That's where Slender Man started.
Slender Man started there. There's been a bunch of stuff that has come out of Creepypastas. They're good. 99% of them are crap. I mean, bad. But there's some that are really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
And 4 of them are done by Channel Zero.
Oh, cool.
I've watched the first 2 seasons.
There are only 6 episodes, right?
Yeah. They're not long, less than 45 minutes each. So, I mean, you theoretically could sit down and watch it in a day. I mean, because it really is about 5 hours for each season. But the first season is Candle Cove? Hold on. Yeah, first season is Candle Cove, starring Paul Schneider. Sorry,
I was going to say, what?
Paul Schneider and Fiona Shaw.
I love Paul Schneider.
He's in the first season of Parks and Rec, which is what most people know him from. But he's another one of those faces you see, and you're like, oh, it's Paul Schneider.
Oh, yeah.
And then Fiona Shaw is in everything.
Yeah, she was in Killing Eve.
She was in the
Harry
Star
Potter.
Wars show, the first season of Harry Potter. She was in the first season of the Star Wars show, Andor. Yeah. She's great. She is
Amazing
phenomenal actor.
She played Harry Potter's aunt.
Yes.
He lived in her basement or whatever.
She was
closet.
Mrs. Dursley. I don't remember her first
Dursley,
name.
yeah.
She's fantastic though. She is a phenomenal actor.
Oh yeah, watch Killing Eve if you want to see her in her all her glory.
So good, and it's good. The first season was really good. It had one of the creepiest costume designs I've ever seen.
Nice.
Super came out of nowhere. I'm not going to spoil any of it because you need to see it.
Creepier than the kid's costume from Top Dog?
Yes.
Whoa.
It was super weird. Essentially, Candle Cove is about a TV show that these kids remembered. This handful of kids remembered from their hometown when a bunch of kids were going missing. Ooh. And then 30 years later, Paul Schneider is coming back. It starts happening again. The kids are disappearing, and so he's goes back to the town. He's a child psychologist, and he's like, do you guys remember this show? And almost everyone's like, what are you talking about? Ooh. What are you talking about? It was this weird little puppet show, pirate puppet show. It's super weird.
Nice.
But creepy and very unsettling.
I love that stuff. I'm definitely watching that.
Unsettling. But done really well. Good twists and turns. Highly recommend the first season.
Nice.
The second season it was based on a creepypasta called No End House, which was a creepypasta about the rise of immersive theater.
Oh.
Do you know how you could go back? This was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, you could theoretically you could pay somebody money and then they'd be like, go be on a corner somewhere, and then suddenly you're in an immersive thing, and that's it. They take you into a house or they take you into a car and they drive you somewhere, and then suddenly you're like, I paid for this. This is. But essentially, there's a house that you go into, and if you can make it through all 5 rooms, then you get to exit. But the No End House was interesting. It's done very well. Group of friends that go in. It's set up really well. You make it through the house. It becomes very personal, that psychological dread of how do they know this stuff about me?
Right.
You know, it's super weird.
Psychological horror.
Another really great masked guy. The art design in these shows are fantastic.
Cool.
It lost its way a little bit by the end. John Carroll Lynch is in it.
I love John Carroll Lynch.
He plays a dad.
He's in Fargo. He was the husband of Fargo.
Yeah, the husband of Fargo. He's so good in this show.
Yeah.
So good in the show. But highly recommend the second season too. It was done well. I felt like the last couple episodes they were stretching the creepypasta a little bit.
Yeah.
Got a little thin. But the first 4 episodes are so good.
Okay.
Highly recommend it. It's done really well. The actors are fantastic.
It's on my list.
It's a weird. It's weird, but it works.
Nice.
I'm really excited about the next 2 seasons. I think the 3rd season is about the staircases in the woods. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Yeah.
The stairs in the woods. It goes deeper than that. And then
the stairs that go down into the
stairs that literally in the woods that just go up and go nowhere.
Oh.
There's also a subreddit called Stairs in the Woods. It started with a park ranger who claims that he would find these things all the time.
Weird.
And he's like, they would just appear, and if you go near them you get dizzy and nauseous and all this stuff. Yeah, the creepypasta about it it's over like 17 parts, but it's so good.
Nice. I'm going to
So
start
good.
reading more of those.
And then the last season, and I think it's much deeper than that, because obviously it's a 6-episode show. Like, they got to do more than that. It's
Yeah.
not just a guy getting near some stairs.
Right.
And I think the last season it's called The Dream Door, which is a creepypasta about a couple that moves into a house and they find a door in their basement that they didn't know was there, and it ends up they have secrets and like all this stuff. So anyway, I'm excited to watch the last 2 seasons. It's been recommended to me a number of times by a number of people. The first 2 seasons are great. Highly recommend it.
Cool, man. I'm getting into it. I hadn't been on Shudder in a while because there's no Shudder app for the PS5.
It frustrates me.
And because the PS5's infrastructure is so much better than the Android TV, I
Yeah.
just use that because the Android TV on the Sony
it's
TV is
so
garbage.
So bad.
Oh, it's the worst. But that's the only place you can watch Shudder. So I always forget about Shudder because it never pops up.
Yeah. I will say the other thing is that there's sometimes in the show, much like in Furiosa, really quiet talking, and for some reason the subtitles do not work on the app I have.
no.
So I'm like, there was a point I had to stop watching because I was like, I can't understand anything they're saying.
no.
It was during the day. There was too much noise. You know, it was like better to watch at night when it's quiet and it's super creepy.
I'm gonna get lost. I looking around Shudder because like I said, I hadn't been on a long time.
Yeah.
I just want to get lost in a day of watching 70s
Yes.
horror,
Yes.
like B movie,
Yes.
weird, like witchy.
Yeah.
They make, like I said, there is no other app that is more inviting and makes you more interested in what it has than Shudder. Their infrastructure is pretty awesome.
For the longest time, my go-to for 70s like B horror movies was Prime.
Yeah.
Because they have a ton. But now, because they're doing commercials, I just don't care anymore.
Exactly. But then, I will have to say that if you were watching something that's very obscure, there's usually no commercials.
That's true. That is true. Because it's not high enough in the algorithm
Yes.
to put commercials in. That's true. That's a good point.
When I
That's a
get
good
to
point.
one of my TV picks, there were no commercials,
Okay.
which was surprising.
Well, that's it. That's mine for TV, so go for it.
Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, yeah,
Started up
just
again.
started again, yeah.
I started watching the first episode, loved it. It got to a point where Steve Martin was about to do something super cringy and I had to turn it off. I mean, not bad cringy, but it's just, you're seeing somebody do something stupid.
Yeah. It's like, no, please don't do that.
And it's
Don't do
just
that.
like, and he's so good at it.
Yeah.
Then it makes it super cringy.
Yeah.
So I've got to get my cringe
Yeah.
jacket on for that one. But again, I love that show
It's a
so
great
much.
show. I mean, it's a great show.
And from what I've seen, they're back and they're just as
Yeah.
good as ever.
Oh, yeah.
I watched Time Bandits. I'm not sure if it's over, the show.
I don't think it was very long.
Well, it's 10 episodes.
Oh, was it? I
but-
thought it was only like 6.
But I'm hoping there's more because if that's the end of the first season, it is really one of the most unsatisfying endings
Oh, no.
to a show in the longest time.
Wait, worse than House of the Dragon?
Yes. And I don't remember.
See?
I don't even remember House of the Dragon kind of went out one ear. It into my eyes and out of my butt.
Yeah.
But this I really enjoyed. I love Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah, she's so good.
I mostly love her because of her friendship with Conan O'Brien. Because they were buddies at the Groundlings before either of them were famous. They've been best friends for like 30 years or something.
Wow.
40 years, I don't know. And but I just find her so delightful. And everybody in the cast is great. Jermaine Clement plays evil.
Oh, yeah.
He's very good at it.
Nice, okay.
And Taika Waititi plays God.
Yeah.
And he directs it and puts it together. And I love Time Bandits, the movie.
Yeah.
And I had to separate myself because this is nothing. It's a little bit like it. It is like it in spirit and in tone, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it made the smart move of making it its own thing.
Right.
I believe it is a remake. Technically,
Yeah, it's probably based off the screenplay.
follows
or
the
whatever.
story
Yeah.
basically, but it's very different. His sister's involved. The
Oh.
kid is amazing.
Okay. It's on Apple TV Plus.
Apple Plus.
Okay.
It's weird. 2 of my picks are on Apple TV
Oh,
Plus,
nice. Okay.
which I don't usually watch a lot. But I just had it was fun. It was a fun adventure show with clever writing, a good cast. If you like Taika Waititi, you're not gonna, you're not gonna be surprised.
Right.
It's basically his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's good. And if you like them, it's not going to kill the movie for
Right.
you. But I'm curious to watch the movie again after watching the series.
Okay.
Because that movie hit me at a time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That, I loved history, I loved adventure, and that movie hit me in a way that it's one of my favorite movies from a kid. It's just like I watched that so many times because, to me, what an amazing adventure! You're you're going with these crazy weirdos all over history and meeting all these great people.
Yeah.
It's such a good movie, and they really capture the fun of the movie in the series.
Okay.
And I think if you like it, watch it. If you do, if you folks listening, if you do watch it, I'd love to hear what you think.
Yeah.
About any of this.
Email us, genxfilespodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, baby. I'll
definitely give it a watch before the next Stepdad show.
Yeah, please do. I recommend it. And another show that's on Apple TV Plus is Sunny with Rashida Jones.
Okay.
She plays, I don't know if it's in the future. I think it's in the near future.
Yeah, yeah.
But she's a woman in Japan whose husband and child disappear at a plane crash or a plane disappearance or something. They technically haven't found the bodies or whatever, so they don't know if they're dead. But her husband was working on these robots, and so they give her this robot to help with her grief.
Oh.
She hates it at first, and then they kind of her and the robot kind of come together to figure out the mystery of the disappearance and stuff.
Okay.
And if you put a camera and a TV together, the image.
Yeah.
If the robot looks at that image, it makes it drunk. So it's just a super clever show. If you're a fan of Rashida Jones, which I am.
Oh, totally.
She's ridiculously good on it, and it's a very layered performance for her because it's comedy, it's drama.
Good, yeah.
It's a different character for her because she's more acerbic. She's going through a lot of S. The robot's cool. It's one of my favorite things is enemies becoming friends, and even if it's a person and a robot,
right,
still
whatever.
love it.
Yeah,
but I'm only a few episodes in.
Okay.
I got
sidetracked.
I got sidetracked on the next show that I'm going to talk about. But from what I've seen, really dig it.
Okay.
Recommend it.
All right, Apple TV Plus, check it out.
Yeah. What I've been watching the most is a little retro throwbacky. After Bob Newhart passed, the Bob Newhart show is not streaming anywhere.
Right.
But Newhart is. And
Right.
Newhart was this 80s show where he and his wife, played by Fran
Drescher.
No. He and his wife, Dick and Joanna Loudon, they leave their fast-paced New York life. He's a how-to book writer. And they move to Vermont to run this inn.
Oh, he's a how-to book writer. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he writes how-to books.
That's amazing.
And there's the handyman, George, played by Tom Poston, who is just impeccable. Mary Fran was the wife. William Sadler, I believe, was Larry. And there was Daryl and Daryl.
Yeah, William Sanderson was Larry.
Yeah, sorry. So William Sanderson plays Larry. He's got Hi, I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl. This is my other brother Daryl. You know Sanderson from Blade Runner, from all sorts of stuff. Amazing actor. It had Peter Scolari from Bosom Buddies.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He joins up in the. It's funny because in the first season they had this guy Stephen Kemperman playing Kirk. Kirk is possibly one of the most annoying characters ever on television, ever. And they ran, basically, his role in the series was just to annoy Dick, just to annoy Bob Newhart. And it got to the point where it just didn't work anymore, so they got rid of him.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they got rid of the first actor, Jennifer Holmes, who was playing the maid, because she was great, but there's just nothing about her that was stood out. It was just there. So they made the brilliant choice of bringing in Julia Duffy and Peter Scolari.
Yeah.
Julia Duffy, so hilarious, as the super rich girl who has to be a maid.
Nice.
And then Peter Scolari is just the... I'm Peter Scolari. He was the prototypical yuppie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Steffi. And they dated. And God damn it, that show is good. It is just... I've loved Bob Newhart ever since I was a kid. I told the story many times. Very young, I found a record of his in the old man's collection and popped it on and just loved the sound of his voice. And then watching Newhart and then to the Bob Newhart show, him on Johnny Carson, nothing better.
Yeah.
He and you, whenever you would get He and Don Rickles, who was his best friend in real life, together.
Right.
Good
Right.
Lord. But this show is such a great time capsule of the 80s, but it still holds up today. The humor works so well, and there's nobody who does stammering deadpan better than Bob Newhart. And there's nobody who does telephone comedy
Oh yeah.
being on the phone better than Bob.
No.
And it's just a fun show. Mary Fran is hilarious, and it's got one of the most famous endings of a series ever.
Yes, it does.
In my opinion, it's the best comedy ending of a series ever. The best ending of a drama series ever was 6 Feet Under to me. So it's 6 Feet Under and the Newhart Show are the ending,
Right.
the Sterling Silver, examples. But I've almost blown through the entire 8 seasons.
Oh, they're 8. Yeah. Okay.
I'm on the last season, and I've just been having so much fun watching it.
Nice.
It brings you back, like, to being a kid and,
Yeah.
a simpler time, and it's just a simpler show. And it's not like a dumb 80s sitcom.
No, it's very intelligent.
It's smart. It's subversive. There's stuff under the surface. It's got you get to see a young Bill Maher playing a scumbag. You get to see
weird.
George Costanza. You get to see Mimi from the Drew Carey Show. She had a pretty prominent part for a while. Just all these stars show up that you're like, oh my God, look how young he looks.
Yeah, the very beginnings of their careers.
Dave Coulier.
Nice.
A very young Dave Coulier.
Cut it out.
But I've just really, really been enjoying re-experiencing this show that I loved and this was a show that took me from youth through college, like, it was a show that I started, as like 11, 12, and then ended up when I was a sophomore in college, I think. And I'm watching it on Prime, and surprisingly enough, there's no ads.
Nice.
I have not watched one ad for the entire 7+ seasons that I've watched. And if you're a fan of Newhart and you haven't seen it in a while, I think you will really enjoy rewatching it. And if you haven't seen it, you're just going to love it, especially if you like Bob Newhart. I know a lot of people, mostly know Bob Newhart from The Big Bang Theory. Or Bob. His third show.
His kind of run, He ran a couple seasons,
But Bob Newhart has always been a comedy hero of mine.
He's so funny.
And
He's
watching the
so
show,
funny.
it's just...
I definitely need to watch it.
It's a perfect thing to have on the background.
I am almost done with the Golden Girls, so I think that I'm going to make Phoebe watch Newhart.
Well, maybe I'll do a switcheroo and watch the Golden Girls, because I haven't seen that in a long time.
The Golden Girls holds up pretty well. They do make some current references that I know Phoebe doesn't get.
Sure.
Even me, I'm like, I got to stretch and remember what the hell was going on at that time. But I like shows that are more timeless. Like Cheers doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit, but not, not
Cheers didn't take a lot of risks.
No,
it didn't get out of its wheelhouse. Not that was
Cheers
bad.
Is a phenomenal show.
One of the best sitcoms of all time. Top 5, of course.
Yeah. But I definitely am very excited to watch Newhart because I love Bob Newhart.
Oh my God. And everybody in it is so good. And the chemistry between Bob Newhart and Mary Fran.
Yeah.
She doesn't just play the dutiful wife. She has got her own personality, her own thing going on, and when they spite at each other, it is just hilarious. Her look sometimes, she's just a very underrated comedic actor, and died way too young. The thing that sucks about this is everybody, except for maybe Julia Duffy, everybody's dead.
Oh, that's
because Newhart's dead, Fran's dead, Scolari's dead.
Yeah.
Tom Poston's dead.
Yay.
But Larry's still alive.
Hey.
William Sanderson. But that's my big TV from 40 years ago.
Whatever, man.
That's my big TV recommendation.
We are the Gen X files. It's okay to recommend
nothing
Gen
more
X
Gen
stuff.
X-y than the Newhart Show. I mean, because the Bob Newhart Show was our parents' Newhart Show.
Right.
And then Newhart was our Newhart Show.
Yeah.
So I'm watching our Newhart Show.
Yeah.
So there's some TV for
Check it out on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, some new stuff, some old stuff, some creepy stuff, some funny stuff.
But, what have you been playing? Video games.
Video games.
Well,
I think my indie pick of the month, and I think this is indie, and I picked up. I've been eyeing this game for years. And when the PS5 first came out, this was a free game, but we missed it because we didn't have the 5s.
Yeah, we didn't have the PS5.
It's one of the biggest regrets of the PS5 that I have. But I've just been fascinated by this game for a long time. So it went down under $10 finally. So I picked up Manhunter.
Yeah.
Manhunter is a game where it's an RPG where you play as a shark. And I don't know what the story is. I don't really give a crap. I just like swimming around and eating people.
Yeah.
And it's
so great.
It's presented kind of like a nature documentary. There's Chris Parnell, I think, is the guy that narrates it. You know him from Saturday Night Live, and he played Rick and Morty. He plays the dad.
He was on 30 Rock. He was the doctor on 30 Rock.
He's on everything.
He's on everything. He works a lot.
The guy, he was in Fallout.
Oh, yeah.
As the one-eyed guy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He was a Cyclops.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I think I just got to that episode, actually. Yeah.
Sorry, spoilers.
No, it's,
but it's a dumb game with strangely a lot of depth to it, like the way that you can like evolve your shark.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of goofy,
good RPG elements.
Yeah, you know, you get like electric teeth and stuff.
I mean, it does not take itself seriously.
No, not at all, and that's what's really fun about it. And it's a fun game to just if you want to jump in and eat some people and play as a shark. and all y'all know how much I love my shark movies.
Yeah.
And the mechanics are, for the most part, pretty good.
Yeah.
It can get a little frustrating, but once you learn, like, flipping around and stuff, it gets a little easier.
Yeah.
It hasn't been really frustrating, but I have no idea. I played it for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no idea what the story is about.
I know there's a shark hunter bad guy.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know.
There's a lot of shark hunter bad guys. So if you get your wanted level, you know, like if you eat enough people, they'll send shark hunters out for you. And if you kill enough shark hunters, they'll send out one of the boss shark hunters for you.
Yes.
Which really aren't that hard. They're the same.
Yeah.
You eat a person, you eat a person. It's not like, you know.
You knock boats over and then eat people.
But there's really not a lot to it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. Like I would definitely recommend picking it up because it's a great game just to throw on and kill a couple hours.
Oh yeah.
You know, and
it's pretty mindless. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's
so
what makes
much
it
fun.
great.
Yeah, so much fun.
So much fun. So this isn't a new one, but what I've really finally gotten into is Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
And man, it is one of the best games I've ever played. And it took me about 20 hours to get into it, which sounds like it's not that I wasn't enjoying it and that I wasn't having fun. It's just that it took that time for me to change the way that I approach it because RPGs, like regular like action RPGs, like The Witcher, you know, my usual MO is like level up the character, do the side quests. You know, you have a checklist and you have a way of doing stuff. This is just more like playing D&D, and I want to go in. It's super immersive. It's extremely role playing.
Yeah.
You can customize your character whatever way you want. You want to be a thief, you want to be a mage. And there's tons of different classes. You can have subclasses. The thing is, it's super complicated.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get my mind around everything. Combat is turn-based, and it's like it's very easy to not do well if you're not thinking.
Right.
And so I finally come around to getting rid of my FOMO because I have I have RPG FOMO, and just going through. Now I will get on and see if there's a checklist or something that I may have missed in Act 1 before I'm going to move, because I'm still in Act 1. I think I'm like 80 hours over the last couple of months.
Right.
And I'm only still in Act 1. But there's just so much to do everywhere you go, everywhere you talk to. You can talk to animals. You can talk to the dead. There's so many different creative ways to solve problems. There's not just one way to do it. That at first it's overwhelming. But then once you just make a decision on who you are and how you want to play, then it's just one of the best, most immersive role-playing games I've ever played.
Okay.
And it really is making me want to get back into D&D.
Oh, yeah.
It's the closest thing to true D&D
that
I've ever played. I've never played a game with so much freedom And like I said, it's overwhelming at the beginning, especially if you're
right.
not a person that plays these types of games.
Right.
And I'm not when I was a kid, I played a lot of JRPGs, a
Yeah.
lot of Final Fantasy, Secret of Mana, that kind of stuff. Chrono Trigger. But, as I got older, I was not much of a fan of the turn-based combat.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I'm still not a huge fan of it.
But I like
yeah.
this.
But this, yeah.
Because you can strategize. You can go into turn-based and position all your guys before the fight, before you talk to the person, or,
Right.
sneak around and then... Like, oh, but I can throw this guy in a box, or I can throw this guy over the thing, or I can spill some oil around the floor, and then when it starts, light it on fire, or
Right.
I can, pickpocket the guy's weapon, and then he won't have anything to kill me with, and just like so many different ways to approach something.
Right.
That I've had these big battles with overpowered characters that have taken a long time. And trial and error, and then once you figure it out, it's great, and it's not tedious.
Yeah.
Like it's not a tedious battle where it's like, oh, I'm just getting destroyed, because it's all dice based. So
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
is by chance. So there's no, it's very fair, and and the narrator's great, the voice acting's great, the cutscenes are great, the graphics are great, everything about it. It's a true 10 out of 10. It's one of the most impressive games I've seen since Red Dead Redemption 2.
Nice.
And Larian knocked it out of the
Oh,
park.
yeah. Larian's amazing.
And
yeah.
I know I'm like a year late on this.
Hey, man, sometimes better late than never.
But I cannot recommend it enough if you're a D&D fan.
Yeah.
Or an RPG fan. Or if you... It's a game you just tuck in and you live it.
Nice.
And then it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you hate yourself.
It's funny because something I've been watching a lot on YouTube, there's a channel called Roll for Sandwich.
Oh.
And the thing is that 3 times a week, the guy decides his lunch via rolling dice. and he has components, and like he has cantrips and like spells that he can do that he only can use. He does seasons, and then he levels himself up. It's really, he's got like 400 episodes. It's really fascinating because he'll literally make some of the most messed up sandwiches.
Well, send that to me. That sounds
just look
right
at
up my
Roll
alley.
for Sandwich.
Roll for Sandwich. I'm going to definitely check that out.
It's great. It's all on. It started on TikTok, but it's all like the guy has a great voice, so like he's fun to watch. It's a very structured, like, it's like I'm gonna roll for bread, and I'm gonna roll for Maine, and I'm gonna roll for roughage, and I'm gonna roll for like. But he just he eats all of them. He most recently has been naming all the sandwiches, but then he'll give a rating of what they are.
Nice.
And it's funny because sometimes he'll find stuff that he's like, I didn't think this would work, and it's amazing, But he also does some really weird stuff too. But it's fun. It's really fun.
I like that. That sounds really fun.
But it's making me more interested in D&D stuff, and like I love dice, and I love the aspect of the dice kind of doing its thing.
Oh yeah,
and like that makes me want to play Baldur's Gate 3 more.
Oh, it's so great, and I loved D&D as a kid. I had a traumatizing experience that kind of ruined it for me for a while. I think I shared it with y'all.
Yeah.
I'll probably share it again at another point, but it's I've had people try to like get me back into it.
Yeah.
But now I'm back. Like now it's like, okay, I get it. I understand the machinations of it, and because it's very complicated. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's baby, it's so much fun. That's all I'm playing.
Yeah.
My huge wreck is Baldur's Gate.
I've added to my wish list. I'm gonna wait for it to get a little cheaper before I get it, but it definitely. I mean, it sounds like something like that I want to play. I have been playing something literally the complete opposite of Baldur's Gate 3 called Lifeless Planet, which, funny, I picked it up because I had seen, I think the Game Rings guys had talked about it, and I was like, okay, it was one of those, like, changing world, like, videos or something. But I looked at it, and I was like, okay, and I saw it, and it was, like, $3 or something on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll check it out. Played through the first, like, 10 chapters, and then finally got to a part where I was like, man, I can't get through this anymore. And I went and looked up a video, and I was like, the video came out in 2014.
Ooh.
And I was like, what? I was like, how old is this game? Yeah, the game came out in, like, January of 2014. Had no idea that it was 10 years old. I was like, what? Apparently, it was all done by one guy.
Wow.
One guy wrote the story, did all the video, did all the graphics, did everything. He had somebody else write the music, but
cheater.
David Board. I've never heard of this guy before. His name's David Board. It got published by Serenity Games. I think it's called Serenity Games. But it was interesting. It definitely holds up because the controls are a little clunky, but it makes more sense now that I know it's 10 years old.
It looks cool.
But
I
it looks
watched you
good.
play it for a
Yeah.
while. It looks cool.
It's essentially one of those kind of liminal spaces games.
Yeah.
Astronaut crew is going to a planet that is supposed to be just abundant, like Earth-like,
Right.
and end up crashing, and it's just barren. And it's like, well, what happened? And you walk away from your crash, and then all of a sudden there's telephone poles on this planet, and you're like, what the hell? And you end up in a town, and turns out that it's a Soviet town, even though it's supposed to be like 50 years later or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And it's the whole setup of it is so interesting. You learn about the backstory of why the Soviets were there. The entire game's in Russian,
Oh, wow.
except for there's some dialogue from the main character who's
Right.
not. But like all the recordings you find are in Russian, and it auto translates for you. But like it's just done really well. There's puzzles and stuff. It's a lot. There's a little too much 3D jumping, and it can get a little frustrating, especially because the game's 10 years old.
Platforming sometimes.
Little platforming, yeah. But it's really good, and it was cheap, and it was fun, and I liked where it went. It had a personal story.
Nice.
It was really good. And apparently, Serenity Games, I just found this out this morning, they did a spiritual successor to the game called Lifeless Moon, which came out in last year.
Oh, wow.
In
Oh, I think I
2023.
remember hearing about
Yeah,
that.
it's like $12.99 right now on PlayStation. I'm gonna wait for it. I wish listed it. I'm gonna wait for it to go on sale. I'm sure at some point it will.
Just a quick shout out to the site Game Ranks.
Yes.
We talk about them a lot. They do, if you're interested in finding out about video games, or if you maybe want to find something up your alley, or you may want to purchase, they have a lot of really great videos that recommend, like we do, stuff that's kind of off the beaten path or you might have missed.
Yeah, they're really good. They do videos every day, so I mean they're really good. But yeah, it's really great. I recommend it. It was fun. I mean, one of the trophies you can get is that you finish the game in less than 4 hours.
Oh,
so
wow.
it's definitely not a huge time commitment. Although there is also a trophy playing it for more than 10 hours. So it's like, yeah, I was like, you got to really do some exploring if you want to do that. I don't know.
Me.
I don't know how long I did. I'm pretty sure it took me about 8 hours to get through it. So
if a game is supposed to be 20 hours, it'll take me 60.
yeah.
I
don't, and I gotta be honest, I don't know how anybody could do it in under 4 hours because there's like 15 levels. I mean, it takes a while.
People do speed runs on the craziest things, man. People are doing Baldur's Gate sex speed runs.
Oh, really?
Because you can have sex with just about anybody.
Oh, wow.
You have to finesse it.
Yeah.
There's one that I'm kind of going for. But I mean, the relationships are great, and it takes,
Is it the frog guy? Is you seducing the frog guy?
You mean the fish guy?
Fish guy. Sorry, the fish guy. Are you seducing the fish guy?
Yes, I did.
Ooh,
Yes, it was very fishy.
The other game that I picked up finally, Jim recommended this last month or a couple months ago, but Sally Face.
Yeah.
Played through the first episode. It is like playing a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
The animation is so good.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's kind of in that vein of like Ren and Stimpy, like kind of weird, gross, like when you feed the fat guy the tea, and he's like passed out or he's like drinking the tea. It's like the long mouth goes, and it's just like, wow, Jesus, this is so weird. But it's done so well. It's written so well. I'm super excited to finish it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite indie games of all time.
And it's clever as hell.
Really clever, super engaging. The story goes to some really incredible places.
Yeah.
The gameplay changes. Just everything about it is so original. And my favorite thing about playing is when I finished, the credits come on, one page.
Yeah.
One guy did it.
Yeah, it's pretty much one guy, and it's directed so well. That's what I really liked about it so far, is that it's just everything has so much thought behind it.
Yes,
it's done so well.
It just proves you don't need $1 billion to make an engaging story in a video. Because I love indie games, but a lot of times I'll get to a point where I'll either just put it down or that's killer frequency. I've got to get back to it.
I know.
Really enjoyed it.
Same.
But I keep getting sidetracked. But Sally Face, I plunged through that game.
This is the first game in a while that I'm like, I want to sit down and play this.
Yeah. And it was the best game to throw the headphones on late at night.
Yeah.
And, lights are off.
Yeah.
And you're just playing it. And it's it really is a remarkable achievement for this guy or woman. I think it was
creator.
The creator, thank you.
But that's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, so watch Jackpot and The Beach House.
The Beach House, yeah.
Newhart. Watch
Newhart.
Newhart.
Yeah.
And Channel Zero.
Channel Zero, check it out.
Play yourself some Baldur's Gate 3. And then when you get overwhelmed by that, jump into Sally Feast.
Yeah.
We got your whole month planned out for you.
Yeah.
And then next month, oh, baby.
Oh, man. Bill Pullman.
Who else is taking a whole month to celebrate Bill Pullman? Not even his family would do that. But we would.
Oh, we love Bill Pullman. We'll be back next week with Ruthless People. I'm so excited about it.
Maybe a new cat.
Yeah, we'll see.
Meow, take me, Adam.
The Bob Newhart Show is not streaming. The Bob New... You got your Larry David and Davids with...
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, Thundercats, already in progress.